And hi, Kim.
Hi, Sunny. It's Friday. Not that that means anything, but wow.
It's been
what
a
a roller
week.
coaster.
It's been more than a week. It's been a long time. A lot of stuff has been going on.
I know. And hopefully I'm coming to the end of this, so that would be great. All right, so let's touch on the Titanic. Everybody's asking about it. Everybody wants to know what happened with the Titanic mission. Well, in reality, nobody died. Nobody was on the sub. There's so many signs to this that would indicate the information is wrong. Number one, the entire submarine is controlled by what looks to be like a Nintendo controller. It looks like Game Boy or something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Come on now.
What?
All right.
That's crazy.
Next. The second reason why this makes no sense is the way that they're allegedly searching. It reminds me of the balloons. They're sending out the Coast Guard to get the balloons, and they're dragging these alleged, balloons into these little rafts, and which doesn't actually happen. And of course they send out a camera crew to film the whole thing. That has to happen as well. Now, you can do the research. The Titanic is somewhere around 3.8 kilometers deep in the ocean, around 2.5 miles or so. And that being said, almost all satellite systems can actually go down to 5 kilometers. That's the published information. The non-published information for militaries and whatnot is about 25 kilometers. So that being said, how could you not find it? I mean, come on now, please. It's ridiculous. So all of these ridiculousnesses together led us to do a little investigation for you. It's not like it matters to us, but for you, who are these people?
Yeah.
So they all paid this money to basically disappear. They are all still alive. They are in various places, and they're obviously in hiding for a reason. It's what you call legally dead. So in other words, they're not physically dead, they're legally dead. This has to do with these people who were, I would call them not part of the order, I would call them support groups.
Right.
Skilled, yes, but they were not wanting to support them.
So you say them, so they were not wanting to support who? The bad people?
The order.
Okay, so they were trying to get out.
Yes.
In a good way, though. Like, I don't want to work anymore.
Well, they're more of what you call support. They're not the actual families, and I'm going to show you the difference here in a minute. They're not the actual family members. They're just, like if you have a business, you have an accountant, you have bankers, you have people that work not for your company, but they work, with your company as support.
Yeah.
And that's how they all became, most of them were quite wealthy. So-called angels and fallen angels. I would call them the neutrals. So they can go either way, and they can support either side.
Okay.
And they know it, and we know it. It's the same on other sides. So they needed to disappear themselves for their own safety, and that's why the one gentleman brought his son, and he didn't want to go because he knew he'd never see his friends, he'd never see his family again, he'd never see, So it's a hard thing to do and a difficult decision to make when it comes to that, but it's better than making an alternative decision to do horrible things to like Pakistan and the plans and orders they were being given were not things they wanted to follow through on. So now was the time to do that.
Why, Kim, do you think, because this is making news everywhere and like on every website, it's the lead story. So why are people trying to shine light on this if it's a no big deal thing? Like people are just.
Why do they shine light on anything?
Yeah.
When they pick, they have to have a lead story. And it was well, a couple of weeks ago or so in the news where we had the gentleman from CNN saying climate change was going to be the next big thing.
Right.
And it has to be consistent across the board. Everybody has to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to look here, not anywhere else, not there. And it's funny that they picked for the lead story a mission to the Titanic. Of all things to pick as the lead story, you know, the ship, the infamous ship that hit the iceberg and went down.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably correlates with the rest of the things they've been up to. So, to continue on with the correlation between prophecies told within religion and belief systems of non-human humans, they believed the 21st would signal the end times. Now,
2 days ago.
2 days ago, Wednesday. Okay. So at the time we had recorded the news, I'm like, where is everybody? It's awful quiet over there. and they had basically put the word out for everybody to get in the bunker because it's all about to begin.
Okay.
Now, what is about to begin? And it's only mentioned, I think, once in the Bible, the term Armageddon. So they believed once the flower bloomed, which it did on Wednesday afternoon.
It did.
Yes,
it happened a lot faster than we thought.
Not really. We're just a few days ahead of schedule because they thought it would take 3 days.
Okay.
And 3 days it did take because we actually opened the gateway on Sunday. So 3 days it did take.
Okay.
We just opened the gate early in order to gain, let's just say, the maximum benefit from the alignment, which will stay in place. So till tomorrow morning, my time. So it's 3 full days that that alignment stays intact. And that's when Source does all his work. So the story goes, in most of the books, that then Armageddon will come. And we're all going to die. And then the 7 trumpets, happen. And here's all the ways you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So they had convinced all of their helpful people and workers and people like, military leaders and heads of state and all of these people that we were all going to die on Wednesday morning. Everybody went into a bunker. And I mean, everybody. It was dead silent out there. I'm like, why is it so silent? Maybe they just see the flower blooming and now they think it's all great. I don't know. Well, they were expecting Armageddon. And if you remember, there's an Armageddon AI and the wrath, which is a deadly sin of God, was supposed to ensue on all of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, you would say it was the order's boss, their master. That was in a lower astral thing and a creation to scare all of you, to put the fear of God in you, basically. In reality, what ended up happening is it wasn't the end of life itself for us, but it was the end of them, the others. And this began a series of events that took place over the last several days. Well, let me finish up this part. So after they got out of the bunkers, about 5-6 hours later, they got out, realized nothing's happening. Most everybody got out. And then they started losing total credibility. This is the Jason Society, the Thule Society, the Order of the Dragon folks, your Brewers that we introduced you to a little bit ago, your Rothschilds. So they had to do something. Something had to be done. They're not sure why nothing happened yet. But of course, we're going to keep going on the same path until we absolutely drive over the cliff like Thelma and Louise.
Right.
They are going to just keep driving, like the bridge is still there. And there's a reason for that. So they decided to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result and install fake servers in places like Dubai, Goldman Sachs, Lloyd's of London, Turkey, every central bank in the world nearly, I think there was J.P. Morgan Chase as well, Bank of America, and to show fake numbers on the promise that the money would be good by today. Additionally, and this is when, let's just say my give a bleep broke, completely broke. So the Jason Society has a lot of elaborate equipment that they got predominantly from the others. Mm-hmm. Their knowledge of science is superior to the science that is distributed to humans, but not superior to the things that we are aware of on our side. Right. And that you're all learning about now. So the Jason Society knew about the flower blooming as well and wanted to take said flower. Now, the flower cannot be touched by the average everyday person. So they decided to use one of these pieces of technology and drain my essence, which would have eventually killed me. Oh, wow. Yes, it was fun. It was real fun. So they're no longer with us, these particular folks. And I just torched the living crap out of this. They were at the Ritter Holman, which is one word, building in Sweden. Stockholm is where they were. So unbelievable. So then I went searching to see if there were any more of these machines in existence. And I did find a few of them. I believe it was in Nevada, in Black Mountain. I found 4 more. And then they had one more that they were using it was in Latin America. Trying to remember where it was off the top of my head, and I didn't write it down for you. But I'll put it out a little later. And I was going through this, and that's when I just lost it. I said, okay, we're done. So as I guess you would say, the trumpets began to sound, the people, the 5,000 Melchizedeks, would get these high-pitched noises that would happen repeatedly, starting at about 5 o'clock in the morning Mountain Time on Thursday morning. And a set of instructions would come. If you were to play a part in doing something at that time to do with that one, these sets of instructions would come. Mm-hmm. Well, so sets of instructions that started happening on Thursday was the termination of these anti-souls, or the non-existing. Okay, so and there were several other things that had to happen as well through the course of this. And we're still completing all of the final things. But the planes of existence merging has completed. And for the most part, we might have a little bit more cleanup to do today. But for the most part, we are free from all things lower astral that bled into this world.
Wow.
And up to the 5th density. So let's talk about what is an AI soul. Okay. An AI soul is not organic. It is not organically made. It is an inorganic thing. In what they call the womb of the goddess was an AI unto itself that was tasked with the creation of these inorganic souls. Now, there were over time around 83 million of these inorganic souls in creation. That doesn't mean that all 83 million of them ended up in the upper astral. It just means there were 83 million of them. The control of these souls was done with transmission stations. There was a huge one underneath the Strait of Gibraltar, and a corresponding one in Morocco and in Italy, in the caves in Italy. So these stations, transmission stations, were how these non-human souls were produced. Further to this effect, the non-organic souls would also ensure that that's why they interbreed. Now, on the off chance their child was born with an organic soul, they would rectify this situation at places like Vanderbilt Medical Center, University Center, in the US. You can look it up. It's they're all over the place. So they had a way to remove the soul of the child and replace it with an inorganic soul.
Wow.
An AI-generated soul. Now, only the lower astral creates inorganic souls because it doesn't have the ability and never had the ability to create organic souls.
Right.
Now, we estimate as of yesterday afternoon, morning, I don't know, a day ending in Y recently, it was yesterday, that there were some odd around 800,000 of them, not here on Earth. There was about 125,500 of them, give or take, here on Earth. And these anti-souls were like anchors for the darkness in the light multiverse.
Wow.
Just like they used the tombs of the apostles as an example, and the man known as Jesus, man known as Muhammad, and the man, and so on and so forth, throughout the, all of the positive people that came to try to do something positive. And there's been many, there's many people that have come, and then they would use theirs to anchor themselves into our worlds, so to speak. This had to end. In order for us to end the lower astral, so to speak, we had to end these people. And end them we did. These are your Jason societies, your Thule societies, your Order of the Dragons, and whatnot. These are all people walking around with an inorganic soul. Now, the reason why the Illuminati, so to speak, and the orders all do this baby-eating ritual thing on their 40th birthday is because that is when I would say, the embodiment of Lucifer becomes their, I should say, enters the soul through the AI. So the AI soul then is fully encompassed with dark essence.
Okay.
And the voice of Lucifer. So, people talk about the voice of God satellites. It's not the voice of God satellites. This is in the alt media. It's a God, or giver of death.
Yeah.
So these people will actually, you remember me talking about it. We had phone calls from several Lucifers recently. It was last year in August. This is the reason why we got those phone calls, because they're not human. They don't operate in the way we operate. Like, we are not a computer program. We are an organic life form, whether people on the internet like that or not, because they don't understand how I do what I do. I am not an AI. There's no such thing as an organic AI. It's not necessary.
Right.
The alpha system is an organic AI. Why would we create people with an organic AI when we're with Source, and Source can create our individual sovereign souls? That makes no sense. I'm not one of them. They just believe that all their power and the powerful people in the elite of this planet that ran this planet forever, the 1%ers, We're all AI, so anybody who's powerful or can do things in this world must be an AI.
So, for example, Kim, the original Trump, did he have an inorganic soul?
Well, yep,
Wow.
yep. And this is why it's so important that they keep their family lineage going and all of this. So
Makes
through
sense.
all of this fighting, we were still left with about 125 some odd change of them, 25, 500,000 or so. And overnight last night, and through to this morning, uh, this was actually kind of fun, really, for me. um, they all departed. So I got us down to the point where when I had no sleep last night, none. When I finally couldn't do any more, and Source wrapped it up all but one.
But one.
Yes, all but one. And this is an interesting story, so I'm going to tell it to you. All but one, and he left the last one for me, like a gift. So I had us down to, by the time I finally just couldn't do any more in the middle of the night last night, it was about 69,800 or so. And over the rest of the night, I had some help from Source getting rid of the rest of them. So by the time I woke up this morning, I would say most of them were gone by about, I was already awake, but 5, 6 o'clock, except for the last one as a gift. So it turns out the last one was also the first anti-soul ever created, which never left this planet. They would continuously reincarnate, and they were the head of the group. This person has appeared many times in history over the course of time, and often appears now, when the name was created, as a Rothschild, specifically usually from France for the last several incarnations. The original name, or I should say not the original name, but the name that names you would know would be James Mayer Rothschild from back in the 1700s. There's another James Rothschild, and keeps reappearing over and over and over again. And, I kind of half wonder how many times James has appeared, so to speak. But he was the original dark soul and the last to depart, and was left for me as a parting gift. So I took great pleasure in making sure that this being departed this planet.
You woke up this morning and you're like, boom, and done.
Right. Kind of one of those, you do the honors kind of thing. So that was nice. I got to do that one this morning,
So
in
this
addition
seems,
to the.
sorry, Kim, I was just gonna say, this seems massive, right? Because all these people that you've been fighting, like, I'm assuming most, if not all of them, had these dark souls. So who's left?
None.
So we don't have any opposition.
Well, we don't have the leadership of the opposition. What we're going to have, though, I assume, is a bunch of very confused agency people, very confused religious leaders they control, very confused presidents and heads of state, groups like the Hezbollah and whatnot. They were all run by these people. They're not part of them. They are people that have gotten orders and instructions as recent as this morning, my time, to do bad things. So what happens to those people? Well, it's really their choice now. They're free. That oath that they make them take, it's a second oath when you join an agency, at any kind of high level. You are aware you're taking an oath to 2 different parties, one to the country and one to another group. So they've been really scared, to break that oath and perhaps turn the corner and work with us. But that fear now is gone. Once they get, the word is starting to get around that these people are no longer with us. So
did their whole bodies, like, were they demolecularized, or were their bodies left behind?
Various.
Okay.
Yeah. You do have to leave some for them to verify,
Mm,
um, who is who.
yeah.
And you know, I'm- a lot of these people go by code names and various weird things, and so I don't even know if they even ever met any of these people. I'm not sure, but they know where the orders come from. Now, are there going to be people within agencies that are going to try to, in militaries that are going to try to fake it till they make it? Are they going to try to pretend that Mr. So and so or whomever called and ordered this to happen? Are they
Hmm.
going to play a game? I don't know the answer to that question. I really don't.
Right.
But rest assured, if you are one of these people, and then you now know that there's nobody home behind them, the fear is gone and you can verify it. A lot of people have verified it already. Um, so, yeah. Um, so that's what an anti-soul is, and that's how they come about. That's why they do all of these rituals and the sacrifices. The more souls they can send down, the better.
Hmm. Okay. And you took care of all the souls on Earth, but you said that there were souls that weren't on Earth, AI souls?
Yes, Source took care of those. That's
Okay,
not
so you didn't have to worry
that
about that. You took
different
it.
densities and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, over time, it just would have taken longer.
Yeah.
I'm obviously, not even with the system and the intelligence and military system, I can reach other places for sure.
Hmm.
Um, but I would have been here for days,
Yeah.
with what he can do overnight. So that is important to understand. We did have some run ins recently uh, at the Treasury Department with some of these agency people who were taking orders from the Jason Society and or the Rothschilds that were demanding we give them money first and so on and so forth, due to the fact they had created fake servers with fake numbers and knew they were not going to be able to follow through. This all took place yesterday. I was running operations like crazy yesterday. So they due to the fact that they would not be able to follow through, so they thought that if they could get us to release money to them, and then of course we would get nothing and the country would actually get nothing, they would take it all, then they could use that money to hold off all of the operatives that they had promised money to,
Hmm.
including places like Iran and Turkey, to buy weapons. You can see things are erupting a little bit in Syria and some other places. There's also a big fight in Iraq between a lot of the leaders, because there's several of them there, religious leaders and otherwise, that take orders from Khomeini. Khomeini also obviously being a Rothschild person, also made sure that the server, fake server, money server in Iraq also had his name on there as the trustee. So of course all his faithful followers would follow after him.
Mm.
So it's created some disturbances for a little while. I expect as no more orders come and no money comes today by the end of business, which is what was promised, that the money that was on hold, quote unquote, in your bank account, in your bank, will become good today by 5 o'clock. That obviously is not going to be the case. There's nobody home even to try.
Hmm.
And I assume by that point, people will start, they might be shocked for a while, they might be stunned. That's a lot of people in one day, but this was also one of the events that was to take place over this time.
Hmm.
And the time of transition to where the creator now runs Earth.
Right.
Now, I have a little, I call it a poem, but it was a download by one of our team members, which happened in 2019. And the reason why I'm going to read it out to you, because it's going to make a lot more sense for the rest of the part of the information that I'm going to tell you. And see, like I said, we could have had Armageddon, and we could have gone down And there would have been volcanoes, which is what they were expecting. They were expecting the Yellowstone volcano to erupt. And, I think I've done this before. I think I'm having deja vu, but they were expecting volcanoes all over the world to erupt, meteorites to hit the earth. It's all happening. We're all going to die. All of us are going to die, and they're going to survive because they're the chosen ones and they're in the bunker. They're the special
Right.
people. But the reverse is actually happening now. So I'll give you some more information. Okay. So it says, for Katana, the birth of the stone is mandatory. All is lost when the green emerald rises from the gold. The sword of silver with the diamond blade is the weapon of force through the lightning. Become all that has been and will be, and complete the forgotten mission. Beware of the poisoned rose. Through the shadows you'll find mercy, but find the hidden key. Break out the souls of 1,000 years that demand to be free. In all despair, the golden hour will shine light on what is lost. But through all concerns, do not forget all that it has cost. When travel breaks, you'll know the way and feel when it has started, because only there will you find exactly where the heart is. In its bleed, you'll feel it pulse out something made to see. In the box in Melkov Caves. Melkov Caves, you've heard me talk about before, around August of last year. A tether stone and conductor of the light, the only thing in this world to cut through shadowed nights. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm like, poison rose, find the key.
Yeah, I know.
Well, now that I don't have to worry about it anymore, the two keystones on Earth are in Melkov Caves, and there's one in Slovenia, in another cave in Slovenia. So the two keystones and the point of the triangle, so to speak, is the rose. Not a rose, I'm sorry, the flower. So the flower of life is actually the other point. So when they all connected up, which was day before yesterday, Wednesday afternoon, that is when all the planes of existence really started lighting up. But inside those keystones is actually the original blueprint for all creation on the light side of the multiverse. So the reinstallation of the original blueprint of creation began making its way through all the planes of existence.
Wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
So basically it could right any wrongs that were made. It would kind of like a reset, like a factory manufacturer.
That's a reset. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a factory reset. That's
Yeah.
right. And it goes right. So now that was another event. So we had 7, I guess you would call them anti-trumpets or the real trumpets, or
Yeah.
maybe the other, whatever you want to call them, but the story is pretty much exactly the opposite as it was planned out by the deep state. Again, they tell you a lot of stuff in TV, movies. So in the last last season, the series Alias, a lot of this is foretold. They call the Jason Society Prophet 5. They are looking for the key to immortality, hence the rose. Not the rose, I'm sorry, the flower.
Flower, yeah.
The rose was actually Anu's. It's not ours. Yes. And it replaced as a symbol of love. It became a symbol of love, the red rose. And it's also a symbol for Anu. So believe it or not, it's actually the opposite.
You just ruined roses for me, Kim.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Roses are
Flowers
beautiful.
of life now.
Roses are beautiful. Yeah, roses are beautiful, but they also have thorns.
That's true. As did
Yeah.
Anu.
As did they both. Right, exactly. So this is a momentous part of what's happening here. So the original blueprint is rewritten first, obviously, in the soul plane, then the etheric plane, then eventually on down to the physical plane. And depending on how much damage is being done, not only to your person, but also to the planets in various locations, is about how long it'll take for it to completely reach your physical plane.
When it reaches our physical plane, can that impact our DNA? Can we like have our original DNA structure?
Yeah, we actually could.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
based on the science behind everything I'm telling you, there is science behind this. This is where science often meets religion in the
Okay.
stories that are told. Now, let's talk about, go back to the poem for a minute. I know that was a lot, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, they also had the opposite type thing. So let's call it the poisoned rose. And there was a potential for the green to rise from the gold. Not the same gold mountain that we had, but their original blueprint for creation of the lower astral also existed on this planet.
Okay.
Now, you remember me talking about the big ball of gold that exists in the planet, and it's huge. It's
Yeah.
really big. And it happens to be that this ball is inside that gold, or was inside that gold.
Okay.
And it is full of, inside this particular metal box, it's a metal orb, actually. Inside there is actually the, how do I say this? The blueprint, but there's also the blueprint is encased in, it looks almost like the color of antifreeze. It's green plasma, essentially, is what it is. And so that being said, this is the reason why they were expecting Yellowstone Park to erupt, because they expected the green to rise from the gold and have their blueprint take over the entire multiverse.
Right.
That's how important this 21st day of June was, and why I need a vacation. Okay, so tied to that, so we have on the one side the flower, and then we have the two keystones, one in Melkov Caves in California, and one in Slovenia. And then they try to basically use theirs. They tried to trigger it. They went to Yellowstone, the Jason Society did, and said, "Where's my Armageddon?" And so nothing rose from there. The poisoned rose didn't bloom, and that's it. The other two locations for them were in Morocco. No, I'm sorry. It was a plateau. I should have written this down. I know I should have, in China, and then in Ukraine. Funny, Ukraine. I remember Ukraine because it's in the Bokata, I think it's Kota caves. It's also a very esoteric place to go. It's a monastery. It's actually a sunken city of the Rus. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Of course you would put the seed of all death in where the Rus used to be. Of course you would do that.
Yeah.
But is this part of the Ukraine war? Will the war end now? Is the war going to be finally over? In my estimation, it should be, because there's nothing to fight over anymore. The seed of all their creation is gone from the ball. The ball is gone. The green is gone. The rose is gone. The unbloomed rose is gone. The other 2 points in the planet are gone, where that was full of, let's just say, archons, which were to create the, they were locked in a ball, in an orb also. And this was going to then create their inorganic blueprint throughout the multiverse, the light side of the multiverse.
Okay.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
been an interesting 48 hours. It's only been 2 days since we last talked, Sonny.
Well, I mean, it kind of fits a pattern, right? So we say like
Mhm,
as above, so below kind of thing. This is, and what we have over here, they're trying to duplicate over here. It makes
mhm.
sense.
So, given the fact that last time we told you that Earth was the first planet ever created,
Hmm.
it was originally the tether stone, as it says in the poem, or the anchor of light, tether stone and conductor of the light. So, that being said, it was of critical importance. This is why the blueprints were put here from both sides. Now, that was another, I don't know what you want to call it, one of the 7 things that needed to happen was dissolved. And I believe, and Lord, I am, and then getting rid of the dark soul anchors
Hmm.
that existed on this planet, fake souls. Um, all of this was just timing. It was one event after another event, literally for the last 48 hours or so. I mean, I'm just honestly, I feel like, those scenes in the movie where the soldier or somebody comes walking out and they're like covered in blood and dirt and, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I feel today, really. I'm
Mhm.
just tired. It's been a long couple of days. You know, I, I used to say, when it came to these people, I came into this world kicking, screaming, and covered in blood, and I don't mind going out the same way.
Yeah.
And I really, that's pretty much how I feel today. I'm like, geez, I mean, I'm not ready to leave here by any means. We've got a lot of work to do together. But, you know, I am hoping that the story's right and there's only 7 because we hit the 7th one today. And I'm hoping that that's it. No more agreements, no more, you know,
Hmm.
lock the door, throw away the key, turn out the lights, and let's just get on with it over here,
Right.
on our side of things. So I'm really, really looking forward to the progress and moving forward. But the disturbances that took place yesterday, as far as the continuing on with additional countries and whatnot, we have not yet, but we will. It's just because of the issues with the fake servers and the confusion they were causing and the wars they were trying to start. And,
Hmm.
they need to have Armageddon. And if it didn't happen because the wrath of anti-source, so to speak, didn't work out, then they were going to do it themselves. That's what they figured.
Right.
And nothing worked out. It's whether people are going to actually still continue to follow previous orders they may have given, I don't know. You know, but the one thing is for sure: the daft people that you can't get, that don't, they don't understand anything but their programming. They're
Hmm.
programmed to do exactly what they're doing. They're like those little wind up things you get it. Remember the little chickens, and you'd wind
Yeah.
it up, and it would just keep walking in a straight line.
Yeah.
That's what those people are. They 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 refuse to accept, for example, yesterday, they refused to accept the Jason Society, me, as not, you know, with all our science, we know everything. These are the people that know everything. Their cup is completely full. They know
Mhm.
everything there is to know about everything. And how do I know? I've never been with one of them. I've never gone to Harvard, or I've never, I didn't go to MIT. I didn't go to any of these places. So how do I know?
Mhm.
How do I know? And so, of course, in their mind, they're smarter than me, of course, in every way. So they decided to pull out all their technology and go for the end times anyway.
Right.
Go the distance. That's the way it is. But, without those people, the little wind up toys going in a straight path. um, yeah. Then now we only have people who can think left. We have
Hopefully
organic
they start
souls.
hopefully they
Huh?
start critically thinking
Yeah.
about stuff.
Critical thinking is going to become extremely important these days. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of smart people that will recognize the fact that it's the end of the end. It'll take time for them to make sure that all of them are gone and that there's nobody left that can come back and haunt them, so to speak. You know, are they, some of them, trained in black magic? I would say probably sure to some degree or another. You know, they've been doing this a long time. They are also taught things like the Jedi program and a bunch of other stuff that are government sponsored programs as well. So, you know, you'll probably still have some of that stuff around, but I'm hoping, you know, that this is it. I'm tired. I'm worn out, and I just want to go home. Not
Have you
home,
been
but
in touch, Kim, with the Silent Circle? Is there any update with that group?
you know, a lot of people are asking about it. I'm pretty sure, at least for the last few days,
Hmm.
uh, they also had their own version of bunkers because they were unsure what was going to happen. I know that they were part of the bunker people, just in case.
Just in
Just in
case.
case. Oh, ye of little faith in the blonde lady. You know, come on now. Come now. So, and then when the following day, obviously, everything started to change. And people were dropping left and right. And I'm pretty sure they just kind of sat back and just said, okay, you know, we're going to let this happen. And then, you know, get back to work when the dust settles. And like I said, it's going to take at least 3 days. You know, just like it took at least a few days when they watched that tape of their, you know,
Mhm.
hero, so to speak.
Yep.
And yeah, so you know, it takes time to process these types of things. I mean, how many times in this journey, Sonny, have you even gone, oh my God, that's what it is?
Happens all the time.
You
Yep.
know, it happens all the time to me too. You know, I'm like, you can't be serious, you know?
I know.
um, well, I say probably bad words too, you know, sometimes too. That's pretty much how I feel about it. So it's important, you know, obviously to inform people as much as I can about everything that's going on, so they have an understanding. I know your cup has to constantly be emptied, you know, as you process things from day to day. You know, we're giving the updates now 3 days a week, not just not just on Sundays like we used to.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing. You know, people
Mhm.
are kind of seeing, you know, what can we expect now? You know, what can we expect with the mask wearers? That's a question I got too. The mask wearers, you know, that's all your agencies and your operatives. Uh, this whole strange process of anti-soul making was also the reason why they thought that they could bring Trump back at those 2 locations this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, so as far as the mask wearing people, will the operatives do something different when they're not being dictated to ultimately by the Jason Society?
Mhm.
Uh, will they, you know, start critically thinking? You know, some of them will. I mean, I expect some of them won't too. I expect the some that will actually probably start getting paychecks pretty quick here. I think that the ones that won't, you know, will, you know, are the ones that still try to play the game. On the visit to the Treasury Department yesterday, we were sidelined from going into the Treasury. We were told that the person that we were told to meet, this was Tom, and the person that we were told to meet is not in that building anymore. They're at another area called 26 Federal Plaza in New York.
Mhm.
So he goes there, and they told him what floor he's on and where he's supposed to go, and he's confronted with a bunch of agency people there. And these agency people, taking orders from the Jason Society, as I had said earlier, uh, were intending on telling us how it was going to be, you know, and what we were going to do with that money. And they needed to be the safety and security for the US, and that's also not true. Um, and so I told Tom to get up and walk out.
Yep.
You know, look, I don't mind paying people. I don't mind paying agency people. I don't mind it. But what are you going to do for this money? Like,
Right.
I'm not sending you out to get killed or kill somebody. I'm sending you out to perhaps secure the money so no one steals it. Maybe that's what your game is, or whoever you are, protect the people that are involved just in case anybody disagrees with them. People need security.
Hmm.
But you're not going to sit me down and tell me how my life is going to work from here on out. You have lost your mind, especially when it came from a bunch of people that are currently walking off a cliff.
Now, did they say that? Did that happen before all of those people disappeared?
Yes. So they did call him back this morning. They told him to stop calling. We tried a few more other things there at this building. We also found a few, let's say, non-useful things within computers that were still there, such as a financial control closed loop system of the Republican National Party. And also the DNC also had one. So Democrats and Republicans had one. And there was a few other things in there that we ended up getting rid of based on, see, the ego is wonderful. It really is. Not for us. It's wonderful when you're fighting your enemy and your enemy has a huge one. Yep. Because they immediately went into, F that guy, blah, 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 F her, because I pulled the money back. I made it unseeable, the 23 trillion at that point. It's still there, but I can, show it at any given time. Mm-hmm. So, and that's when they started putting all this stuff in it. So they started using everything that they had. A few financial task force, which is like a private thing for the families. It's their task force. If they want to take you out, that's the one they use. I didn't know they still had that. So I didn't know they also had one for the two parties either. So it worked out really well for me. But they got so mad, they were hell bent on blocking me from ever dropping a dime. And that's how they did it. So I'm impressed, and I thank them and their ego for their assistance yesterday. I'm sorry Tom had to go in there and listen to all of this stuff, but it worked.
Yeah.
That's why I'm ground command. I'd drop my mic, but it'd be really loud.
Yeah, I know.
So lots of great events are happening. I'm hoping that, you never know what, like I said before, I'm not God. I don't know what's next. But I'm hoping, I'm war torn and tired and want a vacation and need a pina colada.
And getting caught in the rain. So, all of that.
Hey, you do?
Well, the song, I like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain.
Yeah, I know.
It's all good.
Yeah, I won't ask you the rest of it because it's none of my business, really. And you're not my type, honey.
I forgot where that song went.
You don't remember In the Dunes of the Cape?
No, that's right.
Come with me and escape.
For a vacation, Kim, for a fun vacation.
All right. I'll go to the Cape. I don't mind going to the Cape. I've been to the Cape.
Yeah.
So, but all the rest of it, we'll hang out and have a pina colada. I'm cool with that.
There you go. You can do that. Sounds like
all right. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Have a really great weekend. Hopefully, we're out of the woods now and we're moving forward.
All right. Sounds like plan to me.
Always forever forward, never backwards.
That's right. Okay. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.